All right, my friends, it is time to bring in our guest for today, Detroit News Columnist Lynn Henning.
He's
I
the
want to make
legend.
sure everybody can hear that G at the end. Lynn, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, Pilar. Hi, everybody. Maz,
Hey,
Adam, good
Lynn.
to be with you talking some baseball and sports today.
Absolutely. I know you had to. You were on a hold for our football talk. I want to ask you, who would you rather have, Jared Goff or Derek Carr from the Raiders?
I'm going to go with Goff. I think they'll gear the offense as much to his strength, which is going to be play action. They're not going to expect the world out of him. I think you got a guy that, hey, played in a Super Bowl. And they understand this coaching staff, I really do believe, has got a chance here with this guy to maximize him. Jared Goff is not an all-pro quarterback. We know that. But that doesn't mean he can't be an effective quarterback. And I think at this point, yeah, he's a placeholder. He's a caretaker here for the short term. And that's not a bad guy to frankly have in that particular position at this interlude in the Lions' development. So I'm going to go with Goff over Carr.
All right, but you would take Goff over Brady as well, wouldn't you?
I listened to that, Maz, and I am going to side with you for one reason. Tom Brady is not father time. I mean, there's going to be a point here where the fall off is going to be precipitous. But I understand the debate, and I am not knocking Tom Brady, but I will go with youth over a mid-40s man at this juncture. Absolutely.
I love you. Thank you.
Lynn, I would take Tom Brady 6 feet under over Jared Goff. How about that?
And, I understand, Adam. That's not a bad short-term bet. But let me tell you, it's getting real short in terms of the term with Tom Brady right now. We know that.
Mr. H. We got you on because you're my baseball man. And how many no-hitters are too many no-hitters? We got one from the Tigers a couple of nights ago. We get Corey Kluber last night. There are 7 if you count the 7-inning gem by Madison Bumgarner, and I want to ask you about that at a later date. But they're one shy of last year's total. And I know they deadened the ball this year a little bit. It doesn't hurt Shohei Ohtani, by the way, but what's your take on all these no-hitters? Is it too much?
I think you look at it in the context of the Tigers. How many have they had in their career? In all of the 120 years of Tigers baseball, 8?
Yep.
That to me still makes it a special circumstance, and all you have to do is look at the other franchises, Maz, to know it's a rare occurrence. Okay, we've had this unusual stream of them here through the first couple of months of the season. That's attributable to 2 things. Pitching's never been better, never been harder, never been faster, never spun more in terms of secondary stuff. And it's a little early for some of these offenses, particularly on teams that don't have great lineups. And so that alignment of the planets is probably going to produce something a little freaky. But I wouldn't suspect at all, or rather I wouldn't doubt at all, that in July or even in June that some of these no-hitters would be 3 and 4 hitters because the hitting is going to come around. And pitchers are also going to begin to feel some innings, and right now they're real crisp. I think it's freakish, but it's also part of the trend that pitching has gotten so much superior to the offense in this game that you're going to see a manifestation of it once in a while in kind of an extreme way, and this certainly is extreme.
Lynn, I think I want to say the last decade and a half, we've really seen the decline in significant bats. And guys you think of, I want to say in the early 2000s, you have your Griffeys, your McGuires, your Bonds in the 90s, all these amazing batters. We look at the lineups now. They're outside of Mike Trout, Ohtani, you've got Tatis Jr., you've got Vlad Guerrero Jr. There's a few bats, but you're not looking at opposing lineups and being like, wow, this is going to be a tough 9-bat stretch. I really got to have my best stuff for today's lineup. I don't see great pitching as a bad thing for baseball. How do you feel about pitching being this dominant, especially this early?
2 explanations in my view, and of course, in my estimation, and not just mine, but hitting a professional baseball pitch is the most difficult thing to do in sports. And it's doubly difficult now, even compared with what it was 20 years ago, when you didn't have that many guys throwing even mid-90s, let alone triple digits. And then you factor in the secondary stuff that's improved really in a parallel way. The sliders that and the curveballs that have these incredible spin rates to them. I don't know how anybody gets a hit at them, to be honest with you. But it has gotten even more difficult in this era. Now, is there an answer to this? As the arms have gotten proportionally better, and they have. The physiques have all taken on an extra gear the last 20 years because of nutrition and all of the metrics and the performance inducements that go into it at a young age, where they're training. All of this factors into better pitching today. And you wish it would spill over into the offense. It's not doing it at that same level because it's still so much more difficult. So that probably have to take some corrective measures in the distant future. And I use the word distant because at some point they're going to have to move the mound back a little bit, because you're not going to be able to hit 110, 115 mile an hour pitches. And I mean, that's just about the trajectory we're on here, with the way things continue to escalate upward on that side. So for now, though, I'd relax. I think by midseason you'll see more offense. And hey, if you got to pitch, then that's going to be the way that you're going to have to compete. And the Tigers, really, look at them in the last 10 games. They won 8. How have they done it? Pitching.
Speaking of the Tigers, we're talking to Lynn Henning, Detroit News Columnist emeritus. Still writes a column here and there. We love him. Spencer Turnbull the other night. Casey Mize the night before. Tarek Skubal last night. 9 strikeouts, got his first win. How are the kids coming along?
Obviously well, and I think we all thought 2021, Maz, is probably when you would begin to see their new rotation begin to materialize, and it is. And it's materializing not just because you've got bodies there that are competing, but because they're very talented kids. And Skubal, Mize, and Turnbull are power pitchers. And power pitching will get you a long way in this game, again, just as we've discussed. And that's what they've got there. They've got more in the hopper, frankly. I think Matt Manning is certainly going to mature down at AAA, and he'll probably be in this staff at some point this year. He'll iron out his bugs. And a year from now, we could be talking about him in the same vein as we are now, these three. But they've got a good rotation, and all along we thought that pitching might keep this team afloat this year, because the offense wasn't going to be anything at all. And obviously that's the case. Now, can they add a bat or two? Can they materialize a bat or two down on the farm to help? Not so much this year, but I think by next season, when you can look at Riley Green being part of the picture, and probably Torkelson by then will be in the conversation. He's going to catch up pretty rapidly once he gets into his groove. You might be talking about a whole different face of baseball here in Detroit. But it'll take a full year. For now, though, you're seeing the arms really carry this team, and that's what we thought would happen.
A couple good stories on the sidebar besides the pitching. You got Akil Baddoo earlier in the year. They find him, Rule 5 guy. And now you find the kid from Dearborn Divine Child, Eric Haas, who comes up last week, 2 home runs. He's batting .300, catches a no-hitter. He just looks like a ball player to me. And I know he's been around the block, and he's not young, but I love those stories going forward.
Yeah, and power always is what brightens the picture in baseball. Power. Guys that can drive the ball into the seats, they really get the adrenaline going. Eric Haas can do that. There's a reason he's been kind of a minor league rat and so forth for a long time. I mean, he doesn't have exceedingly great all-around dimensional skills, but what he can do is he can swing a bat and he can knock a ball into the seats. And on this team particularly, Maz, that quality can really earn you a lot of playing time, and also can break up a few games. Really, he just missed a couple more home runs the following night. Bat after he'd been cut, boom. Take that as his farewell gift. He hit that thing 420 feet. No, he can slash, and he's not a strikeout machine. He can put the bat on the ball. They've had a little problem trying to figure out where they were going to position him, but he caught a no-hitter a couple of nights ago. So much for the over concerns about his catching skills.
Yep.
Whether they put him at catcher in left field, I think you let that bat play out and help your team, because right now it's helping.
All right, a couple stories outside of the Tigers. Shohei Ohtani, he's the current day Babe Ruth. Let's say that.
Yep.
And then what's going on with the White Sox? I mean, they're a terrific team. They lose two of their best players. You get Tony La Russa, who forgets a rule, extra inning rule a few weeks ago, and then he yells at his all-star catcher for swinging on a 3-0 pitch the other night in a blowout game. What's your take on both those stories?
White Sox, I could see that locomotive coming a long time ago, Maz.
Yep.
And again, you're right. They've lost Luis Robert, and they've lost Eloy Jimenez, and these guys are kind of their Trammell and Whitaker, you might say, as far as offensive youngsters and blue bloods. But they have so much hitting talent, Madrigal, and now they got Andrew Vaughn moving in, and they're really a well put together team. All made possible, by the way, thanks to those trades of Chris Sale and the left-hander Jose Quintana, back in 2017. Well, this is what the Tigers are going to have to do now, frankly, with Turnbull, is they're going to have to market him. And I've thought this for a year, that he was going to be their best way to get the offensive help. Let's say a good middle infielder who can hit, an everyday guy. Your ticket there is going to be Spencer Turnbull. He confirmed it Tuesday night, not that it was just that game. He has the kind of power stuff that other teams and other scouts are going to like on the trade block. The Tigers can more easily replace Maz, a pitcher at this point, when they have Joey Wentz and Matt Manning and a bunch of guys like that, and Alex Faedo in another year perhaps to help. They can handle the pitching side. They're going to need that everyday offense, and that's why it's going to require a trade that not all the fans are going to be happy with until they see what the Tigers get in return. They're going to get a real good return if they market, let's say, Turnbull in July and August, because they're going to have multiple suitors for him, I'll guarantee you.
That's great. Do you have one
Lynn,
for Laura?
no, actually, Lynn, before we let you go, I just wanted to read a comment to you from our social media so you know how much you're loved here on our show, On the Hook. Somebody said, I'll be damned. Lynn and the Tigers sweep, as good of a week as we can ask for. In parentheses, he put with a no-hitter. So we love having you on the show. It's always great to have you. Thank you so
Always
much.
nice
for
to have family send in texts, Pilar.
That was my wife, by the way. Lynn, we all love you, man. Thanks for
I
coming on
appreciate
with us.
that, Pilar. Thank you. That's very sweet.
Yep, we love having you on. So come back anytime. Thanks for taking the time, Lynn.
Promise. Good talking with all of you folks.
See you later,
Thanks,
Mr.
Lynn.
H. Lynn Henning, Detroit News columnist, emeritus, the man, knows his baseball in and out. Could probably go hours with the guy, but we got other stuff to do.